I feel like I'm cursed. What do I do? Could I possibly be hexed? These are questions that I see a lot in newer witchcraft groups, or people reach out, stuff like that, beginning, your witchcraft journey. And sometimes it's not even on the journey. People just are like, these things are going wrong. What should I do? So I wanted to take a little time here to talk about what is kind of the protocol that I would recommend to most people. Because most of the time, you're not cursed or hexed by somebody else, or something else is going on like that. That's usually not what is actually occurring in situations. Usually, we tend to mess our own energy up far more than other people mess stuff up. And we tend to look for a big thing to do to fix a situation, right? Like what ceremony, ritual, like how do I uncross? How do I get reverse it and all that other stuff? Like it's going to be a big thing. So the first thing that I would say is most of the time, that's not the case. In order to confirm that if you've been hexed or cursed or not, you really do need a reading from somebody else, somebody that's more experienced in looking at this kind of energy and seeing what's going on. But you don't need to go out and do that right away, okay? Because the first thing that I tell people is you're not crazy. Like, there's a reason you're asking the question, right? There's a reason that you're like, I think I might be hexed, because stuff is happening in your life that is not beneficial, right? There are things that are happening in sequences or dreams that you're having, whatever the case may be, that makes you ask the question, am I hexed or am I cursed? So it's not that like nothing's happening, it's all in your head. It's just highly unlikely that like it's that intense. Sometimes it is, so I don't want to discredit that, but it's pretty rare. And most of the time, the simpler things, you would be surprised how often simple things can fix the situation. Because what's usually happened, somewhere along the line, your energy got crossed up. You might have done something, or things happen in, like, people could have done something, but it's mostly unintentional, like you get in a squabble with somebody, or something goes on at work or something, whatever, and you have more of like an evil eye situation where somebody has done something or thought certain ways, or you had a disagreement with somebody, or you yourself have made a series of decisions that mess your energy up. Things like that occur, right? Sometimes it's just the way the astrology is, and it doesn't really have anything to do with you. Sometimes it's neglect of your own spiritual hygiene, which is where we're going to start with this whole thing. So the simplest things, you don't have to have a reading for this. You don't have to do anything. You can say like things, you can acknowledge the fact that things are going sideways in your life that you don't want them to, and you can start at the basic level of stuff and work your way up, right? So, you would be surprised how often spiritual cleansing, like cleansing your house spiritually, taking a spiritual bath, right? Going back to your altar, leaving offerings to your spirits, simple acts like that can start the process. No matter what the situation is, starting with cleansing your house, cleansing your space, cleansing yourself is always going to be where it is, no matter what the situation, right, is, whether it's a hex or it's just a like cross condition, you've been jinxed up, something like that. So you always start there. Always start with cleansing your space, cleansing yourself, leaving offerings at your altar. Maybe you've neglected that a little bit too much. Go back, refresh all your altars, leave offerings, and cleanse your space, cleanse yourself. That would be the first place to start. If you don't find that maybe things improve a little bit, but you're still struggling with a lot of stuff, then you're going to want to identify the things that you're struggling with. I will tell you, most often, those simple acts of doing that kind of stuff will clear up a lot of energy, clear up a lot of the situations that are going on. And it's not just a one-time thing, you know, make it a regular, it doesn't have to be an everyday thing, but a regular habit, grounding your energy every day, putting on some kind of spiritual protection, whether you're spraying yourself or anointing yourself in the morning, things like that, that really work. Start there first. Don't think that it needs to be some big elaborate ritual and you need to, you know, somebody needs to come along and do this whole thing, because it's probably not. If situations persist beyond just when you're, after you've done your cleansing work and all that stuff, then you want to find somebody who can do a reading and really find out what the situation is and where it's coming from, you know, because there's going to be different protocols depending on where it's coming from and what's going on with that situation. And you need the details in there to know like how to construct an uncrossing for you specifically in this, with these specific details of whatever's going on with you. And then you follow these things up with stuff like road openings or drawing work for, you know, whatever the case is, whatever's been messed up in your life, to pull good energy back in. But you should have a reading done in order to look at that stuff and find out what needs to be done. Even after a cleansing work, right? Even if it's not something like super serious, somebody else is working on you and that kind of stuff. Even if it's just like your energy's gotten crossed up, do some cleansing work, all that. After you're doing cleansing work, you should be doing drawing works. The biggest thing, I see this happen a lot when people are asking, like newer to practice and are asking for like, I need a spell for, right? Whatever it is. And there are times that one and done spells do good work, but for the most part, what you're looking at when you're talking about like living a magical life or like being in this is small acts of concurrent magic that continue to allow things to flow in, you know, working with moon phases and witchcraft and stuff like that, where you're, you know, in the waning moon, you're getting rid of things and you're clearing energy out. And in the waxing moon, of drawing things in. They don't have to be big. They don't have to be elaborate. They just have to be rather consistent. And I'm big on that one, because it doesn't mean that you're like in this, oh, I have to be disciplined and do it every day. It's just small acts of regular devotion at your altar, right? Small acts of bringing in some, drawing in some, whatever it is, prosperity and love. I mean, there's not a huge array of topics usually, right? Health, love, prosperity. It's usually somewhere in those kinds of things, protection work, stuff like that. So small acts on a regular-ish basis that don't take a lot of time, don't take a lot of ingredients or a lot of money or anything like that, but are just relatively consistent, can make it so that you don't feel like all of a sudden you have to do these crazy big elaborate rituals or this one spell, looking for this one spell that's going to fix this situation. If you're consistent with things, things tend to work themselves out. And then when something goes wrong, that's when it's like, that, you know. But a lot of the times it's neglect of our regular spiritual stuff that ends up crossing up our energies, and simple things tend to uncross that stuff and get the energy flowing in the right direction again. So go simple, and always get a reading before you need any kind of big work done. But you don't even need a reading to know. Take a cleansing bath, cleanse your space, leave offerings at your altar, and see, you'd be surprised how often that straightens out energy that you thought was some big hex or curse. And it's simple answers to those things.